Well, I was probably always headed to be a scientist. At 4 years old, saw a movie on spaceships and rockets and astronauts, and it excited me because I came home and told my father about it, tried to explain how rockets worked as a 4-year-old kid. And 4 years later, when I was 8, he brought some books home one day on rockets and space travel. And those books marked the beginning of my desire to want to become a scientist as an adult. The best piece of advice that I've ever received about science is make it happen, because science is actually a very personal thing that you create. Well, I didn't do scientific experiments as a child. The first time I did a scientific experiment was in school, where we did a simple experiment of a ball rolling down an inclined plane and then timed it. And then I saw a piece of magic happen right before my very eyes, because I was well aware that mathematics was something that takes place between your ears. I had no idea mathematics actually described things outside of our ears. And so when I saw this is the closest thing to magic I have ever seen. My favorite thing about being a researcher is that I get to have Christmas 365 days a year, at least in principle. The point of discovery and discovering something new, it's just like opening a Christmas present, and that's what a research scientist does. The most important characteristic of a researcher is that you have to be able to absorb pain, because the frustration of not having the answers exactly when you want, or how simple to perform an experiment, that's going to be with you your entire career. So you have to make peace with the fact that you're going to be in pain a lot. Of my research, I'm not sure that there are a lot of societal benefits, because the research that I do is profoundly mathematical, and I can only hope that I'm doing a piece of work and creating a body of literature that will be what when I was young, I used to say, I want to discover a magical piece of mathematics that is nonetheless an accurate description of something in nature. And that's what I've been trying to do, and maybe I've succeeded. The first was my PhD thesis advisor, Professor James Young at MIT. The person that probably next is on that list was a colleague of mine, my same age. His name is Warren Siegel, and he and I became collaborators when I was a postdoc, and our working together to create new knowledge, because that's what we were doing as young 26, 27-year-old scientists. Seeing how someone else did it and then comparing that to what I was doing was just a marvelous experience, and I learned so much about how science gets done, and I learned about what I was capable of doing in science. So I'm a theoretical physicist, and oftentimes people meet my wife and ask, what does your husband actually do? And her answer is, he makes up stuff for a living. So I think that's what probably would surprise people most, is that you can make a living by just making up stuff. But of course the stuff I make up is mathematical, and the other part of it is, if I'm really good at it, it's going to be something really important for our species. My laptop, without a doubt. I actually like all sorts of music, from R&B, classical music, opera, folk music. I mean, it's just an incredible range. I find music is just, to me, music is the most mysterious thing I know in life next to mathematics. There's some kind of very strange connection between music and mathematics. Perhaps this is most clearly illustrated by the question that someone would put to Albert Einstein once. They said, if you were not a scientist, what would you be? He said, a musician. So there's some kind of deep linkage between the two.